Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where we're going NFL Week 2, looking to bounce back a little from Week 1 with that Broncos bet. It was a hit or miss week, at least last week. How'd you end up doing on your end?
Yeah, it wasn't good. I'll never be one of those kind of people that tells you I did great when I didn't do good. I will always eat my losses. And week one, to be expected, week one is always the strangest week of the year. You have every team that hasn't quit yet. They're all fighting like it's a new season, and you know I took it on the chin. I was wrong on the Steelers, which was my big one. They got
Mm-hmm. Same.
yeah, the Commanders. They won, but they didn't cover for us. They had to come back late. DFS wise, I played a little too many of my Bengals, who obviously sucked. And then Monday night, your Bills. I
Oh
mean,
God. Oh,
had Zach Wilson come in, all I needed was them to win, and they couldn't do it. So rough week one, but we bounced back.
listen, here's the deal. Josh Allen is he does this. He has about 3 games a year where it's 4 turnover Josh. It's ridiculous. You live and you learn. It's been 7 years. I've just grown accustomed to it, but he does generally bounce back. So I'm hoping
It's
he
year
does.
seven.
Yeah, right? Is it not? Is it not?
Is it?
Is it? He was
I don't know. That
2018.
just seems like wild to me.
Maybe
You
he's year six. Year six. He was 28. Wait, no, he was
I
2018.
don't know. That's your quarterback. I don't
Mahomes
know.
was 2017, so he was 2018. So I guess it's year 5. All right. Well, yeah, because he just got paid too. Yeah, it's year
Yeah,
5.
year seven was a little aggressive.
Yeah, whatever. Year 5, you still shouldn't be doing this, but it is what it is. I'm gonna rock with my boy Josh until the wheels start all off. But yeah, we're
They
looking to
may be.
bounce back this week. Luckily getting it out a little earlier this week, so we can even go over the Thursday nighter here in the next few minutes. Uh, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and dive into it. Full slate of games, no buys yet, so let's go into it. We got the Minnesota Vikings at plus 205, looking at the Philadelphia Eagles minus 250 when we're looking at the money line here. Got the over sitting at 49. Ah, over under sitting at 49. That's a hell of a lot of points.
It
Uh,
is.
I, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I lean the Eagles in the over. I just think, I mean, Tampa, I will say my one right stance last week was I like Tampa outright on the road against Minnesota, and that dog came through for us. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Tampa will be much right home about at the end of the season, but week to week basis, they took down Minnesota, and I just don't think Minnesota has it. I think Kirk has probably peaked. I like his. One of the bets that I heard floating around is 37 and a half pass attempts. I like the over on that. Just because I think they're going to get smashed. I don't think they'll have an answer for the Eagles, and won't go too much in depth with this one because obviously most listeners won't see it until after the game. But like the Eagles, I like the over. Think the Eagles score a ton of points, and I think they coast. The one thing to be weary of is if you're betting props, the DK has the Jefferson and AJ Brown boost, and you saw what happened last week with the Jamar Chase and the Jefferson boost. Usually they boost those for a reason. We saw Israel Adesanya get boosted last week in the UFC streets, and you see what happens. Sometimes they just know, and I don't know why they know, but just
Weird. Who'd you say it was? It was
fire
Jefferson and who? Brown?
AJ Brown. So
I
fire
have Brown in fantasy, so I hope the speculation is incorrect.
you never know. So, but yeah, Eagles over. That's the official pick.
Yeah, no, I agree to an extent. It's definitely fly, Eagles fly. Jefferson even had himself a week last week, and they still lost to the Buccaneers. So the man did everything he could, and they still took the L. The defense somehow got worse I don't know how that's physically possible, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this one. It's the Eagles by a billion, and I know everyone's saying, well, maybe the Vikings are live because of how the Eagles looked at the end of the game last week against the Patriots. I think they just took their foot off the gas and kind of got caught with their pants down, but they still won. They learned from that experience, and they're not going to do that again. So sorry, it's going to be taken out on the Vikings. And honestly, these two teams went against each other last year in week 2 under kind of like these same circumstances, and the Eagles killed them, and they're going to do it again. So next game is a pretty intriguing one a lot of people are talking about. We have the Kansas City Chiefs only minus 185 against the Jacksonville Jaguars at plus 155. We got the over under sitting at 51. I think this is a Chiefs get right spot. Part of me wants to pick the Jags. As soon as the line came out, I was ready to click the button, but sometimes it just doesn't feel right, and you just have to go with what just always happens. Everyone counted out the Chiefs last year. They ended up winning the whole damn thing. I think people are counting them out again since the Detroit Lions just won. Chris Jones coming back. Travis Kelce probably coming back. Their win streak probably coming back. I think you're getting a good value here at minus 185. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite end. I don't like them. I just, and not that they're not going to crush this year, and not that they're not going to be in contention like always, just because they have Mahomes. I don't like the spot. It's probably going to be hot in Jacksonville. I don't know I don't know how healthy Travis Kelce is. I don't know how active Chris Jones will be. Obviously, be back in the lineup, but obviously, sometimes with those big uglies, you see him sit out for a bit and get limited on the snap counts coming in. So, just think the Jaguars have weapons that can turn it on at any time. I think you probably could eat the L on Calvin Ridley last week. I mean, the guy shoved it right down your throat in the first week, and I'm a donkey and sort of listened to you. I was like, I love Ridley, and then listen to you. But I just think they're good. I think ETN is a legit running back. I think they got weapons: Ingram, Kirk, Ridley, as we mentioned. I think they're good, and you get the opportunity to get a good team, and I think that it will be a little changing in the guard. I think Kansas City will start to trend downwards. And not that's like I said earlier, I don't think they're down. I think they're obviously a playoff team, and but this is kind of where I stood last year. I just don't think they're good, and I'm going to make it proven to me again, and I'll probably keep being wrong on them. I don't see it. I don't think they have weapons. And I like that you're getting points with Jacksonville at home. I'm on the other side. So lean Jacksonville. 51 is really high. I don't have a strong lean on that. I think it's probably about right. So my lean's Jacksonville, and don't really have a take on the over under.
I mean, I'll probably take the under, to be honest with you. I'm probably going to take the under on the Philly and the Chiefs game. I don't think these are the ones. I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right. And even on like a fantasy perspective, even though Kelsey's back, I'm not starting him. He's probably going to be on a snap count. Jacksonville, I have to ride this Ridley trade until it's dead. Like I refuse to start Calvin Ridley. I could end up looking like the dumbest person in the world, but maybe he just had a Sammy Watkins week 1 experience. Sammy Watkins is the top 5 receiver week 1 every year. So maybe Ridley's the new Watkins. That's what I'm praying for. I honestly kind of like Christian Kirk more this game, if that sounds weird. ETN's whatever, Pacheco's whatever. I don't get excited over a lot of pieces in this game, to be honest with you. But I do have a DFS lineup where I did start Sky Moore. I understand how he looked last time, but it's the Chiefs. He's gonna have like 8 games. You're just trying to pick which one. Over unders at 51, so he's really cheap. I'm gonna ride it one more time, I guess. I don't know. You like any fantasy pieces here?
Yeah, and just to be clear, you're not telling season long people to bench Travis Kelsey. You're saying from
Yeah,
a
yeah.
DFS standpoint. So if you hear us say we're probably not going to play it, well, you play Travis Kelsey if he's active on the roster. But no, I'm actually with you. I like the bounce back for Sky Moore, and that's probably. I mean, I get into liking these players when it's really with these both of these teams. I think you kind of spin the roulette reel a little bit. They both have, not condensed target shares. You're gonna have it spread out. I think there'll be points, but I think there's better places to target from a DFS uh, perspective. I think if you want to, like we said, Sky Moore's probably my pick because I was on him before and didn't do it for me. Don't know if he even had a catch, and yeah, so I'll probably be under I because it probably will be its highest total on the board. I think it'll probably be owned from a DFS perspective, but I'll probably be under just because I hate picking the pieces.
I I hear you. And honestly, last week, I mean, when you look at just the season itself in the AFC, you had the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chargers were the top four, like projected to win. Jacksonville might have been ahead of the Chargers actually, but they were four of the top five teams that were projected to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs and the Bills and the Bengals and the Chargers all lost. I don't know if every single one of them are going to bounce back, but I guarantee at least three of them do. Who's going to be the one that fucks it up? I just don't think it's the defending champs. But speaking of them, we got the Baltimore Ravens plus 142 on the money line. We got those Bengals still the favorites. Everyone still believes in them in minus 170. Over under at 46. You are the resident Bengals just a specialist. What is going on with our buddy Joe? Does he need more time or is he coming back this week?
So that's what I said last week. They always, and obviously I'm not gonna bet against them or anything like that. But I did say caution because if it's a spot that they're going to lose, it was going to be last week. They struggled with Cleveland. I think it's a bounce back spot. I was just looking up here. I don't think, unless something changed, I don't think that Marlon Humphrey's going to be back.
Hmm,
Um,
good point.
they've called a few people like defensive backs up from the practice squad. They're banged up. I think one of their safeties, I forget. You'd have to give me a name, but one of their starting safeties tore his pec last week. I just think they're beaten up in the secondary, so I think it is a big bounce back spot for Joe Burrow. He got his haircut this week. For anyone who is a haircut truther, they said what made you get the haircut, and he said, "Did you watch my game last week?" And so maybe a little superstitious, but no, I think, and this is last week my core play of the week, Rashad White flopped. This week I'm going to go a little more obvious, but I think you're going to need him. I think you're going to need Jamar Chase this week. I think he's going to totally nuke. He's always played well against Baltimore, and I just don't think they have an answer for him. And I do think that the Bengals give up points, and it'll be a little track meet, so to speak. So I do like the over a little bit, and I just think you're going to need Jamar Chase this week. I think he's going to totally explode. I'm talking probably close to 200 yards and a couple touchdowns out of Jamar Chase. He is my play of the week, and I'm going to have him everywhere. And if I die with him, I die with him. I just, I think he's in a great, great spot. I like the Bengals. I like the over and all the Jamar Chase you can handle.
That was actually I had two questions for you, and you answered both of them. I was going to ask, is it a chaser or T game? I know with goosing everyone last week, you think Burrow probably has it in his head to make sure T Higgins gets a catch this week, but even if he does, I think Chase, all it takes is one screen to Chase, and he's probably housing it with these safeties. So I do agree with you. And the over under. I was leaning over the entire week. Part of me is just scared because I do have one league where I have Joe Burrow as my quarterback, and I have another league where I have Lamar Jackson as my quarterback, and they put up a combined like 7 points last week. So, a little hesitancy, but you have to just kind of forget, let the pass be the pass and move on. So if you're on Chase and you're on the over, I'm with you. I'll just ride with you. And I do think it's Joe always plays the the Ravens tough. He always kind of kills them. So I'm with
I
them.
want to bring up one play on the Ravens side. I don't know who is Gus Edwards going to tote the rock? Or are they going to get Justice Hill back? Justice
Dude, I
Hill
think it's
double
gonna be
last
Gus.
week.
I put on Gus. Not everyone's on Justice. I literally scooped up Gus this week.
I think what it was last week was obviously the game plan was for Dobbins and probably Justice Hill to come in and play third downs. And when Dobbins went back, Justice Hill was the fresh back. And I don't think they're going to rely on Gus or Justice Hill to carry the ball 10 or more times. He's just not built that way. He'll go get hurt. That's what Gus Edwards is for. The one play I am intrigued by and I need your thoughts on because I can't wrap my head around it, but dude looked like a jitterbug. Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers. I mean, the guy looked electric out there and he had 10 targets. I mean, is it going to be a roulette wheel with Rashad Bateman, Odell, and Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers? Or, I mean, the guy, I mean, I know he's preseason darling for a lot of people, but I liked what I saw out of him.
He was my
What
favorite
thoughts?
receiver coming out this year. I really, really wanted the Bills to draft Zay Flowers, and they kind of sniped him. To be honest with you, I think it's a little combo of both. Not to have a cop out. I think part of the reason he had 10 targets is because Mark Andrews was out. However, I do think Zay is the number one ahead of Bateman. I am totally off Bateman all year. I'm totally off Odell all year. I think it is Andrews and it's Zay, and I think that is it. So I don't think he'll have 10 every week, but I think he will always have like around seven or eight. I think he'll be the number two the entire year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If I can get that and the big pet play potential, because he can take one of those short ones. His air yard's not going to be all that big, but he can take one of those and just nuke it.
Yeah,
And,
I think
and
it's
just
Andrews and Odell in the red zone, and everywhere else is Zay. Zay's gonna go crazy. So yeah, it's tricky, and we kind of had to talk about the disappointing Bengals right onto the biggest disappointment of the week in the Buffalo Bills. Oh, Bills, the Vegas thinks they're going to bounce back. They have him as minus 410 on the money line. Come back on the Raiders at plus 320. Before, the Bills are going to kill them, to be honest with you. I'll just be honest. They're going to be pissed off. They're at home opener. They'll go ahead and show DeMar Hamlin on the sidelines a million times, and then they'll go out there and kill the Raiders. The Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league, in my opinion, and they're only getting worse with this Devontae Adams drama. I assume he's playing, but
he
he
practiced in full
practice
today.
again. Did he practice in full today?
He practiced in full today. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that matters. They have two weapons on offense, and that's, to me, the Raiders kind of remind me of like a knockoff Tennessee Titans from 2 years ago with AJ Brown and Derrick Henry, and the Bills kill those teams. So you're at home. I think they're going to murder them. Fantasy perspective, Diggs, you got to start because one, it's Stephon, and two, he'll bitch at Josh if he's not touching it enough. Josh will bounce back. You don't bench Josh. What were your thoughts on Kincaid last week? What were your thoughts there?
I mean, he looked good and he's involved in the offense, obviously. I think they want to use him. He's an older tight end. So he's not like one of those younger guys that come out of the draft and have some maturing to do. I mean, he looks ready for the part. I don't know, though. I think he's a good second option because your man, Gabe Davis, I don't know if he's ever separated from anybody in his lifetime. I mean, I always want him to do it, and he never does it. He
I
just
know.
never does it for me, ever. And so, I mean, and obviously Gabe's got the big play capability, but it's too rare for me. I can't bank on it. I was encouraged because I got a lot of James Cook in best ball season ball, and I was very encouraged by his snap count. I thought that he was going to be the guy that they were going to kind of put him out there, and I think he played like 65% of the snaps or so. He was out there a ton. I was a little confused, and I think the even more encouraging thing, they were running out Lat Murray, and like they weren't even going to Damian Harris at all. So I think from a season long perspective, I think James Cook's got to be trending upward. And the only concern with James Cook is obviously he'll struggle to get those goal line touches. They'll bring in one of the big boys, and Josh himself will take a few in. But from 20 to 20, the guy has a lot of opportunity to get some catches, especially in PPR leagues. And obviously, they're going to give him volume while he's healthy. So I'm going to be back on James Cook again this week, and hopefully, with them playing from ahead, he can get some work. And yeah, so I'm on the Bills' onslaught too. But I will be interested to see them once they get playing real teams. And Josh has got to fix the turnover because at this point it's a problem. It's not just like a phase. It's
Lost the game.
problem. I mean, he's got 84 of them, leads the league since 2018. That's a problem. That's so I want to see him play someone with the defense and see if he can correct it because he's going to have to do something in order for the Bills to actually make noise. But to your initial question, I kind of like Kincaid. Obviously Dawson will have some snipes out now and there, but I think Kincaid's definitely the guy they want to go to from like the tight end safety perspective.
And Damian is coming off of a hamstring injury, so I feel like that was a little more James Cook than we'll generally see. They don't want to roll Lat Murray out there. That's why he was there. Damian just came back to practice last week.
Have you not watched Damian Harris like the last 3 years? He's a walking hamstring. He'll never recover.
No, I know. No, we know. We are fully aware. But I just wanted to make sure people don't go too great. James is going to be great this year. But the only reason you saw Murray was because of. So if you take Murray out and it's just those two, at least Harris will be serviceable. He will be their goal line back. James is not going to see the field in the red zone. He's not. They threw Lat Murray out there. James will never see the red zone, but it is what it is. Let's see. What's the next one here? We'll get this moving. We got the Seattle Seahawks. So you had a great call on the over there with the Rams. Seahawks plus 180. Everyone gave up on them. Lions minus 220. Over under set at 47.5. And honestly, I personally want to go right back to the over with the Seahawks. I think Lightning's going to strike twice. And I honestly do not hate them as a dog. I think the Lions are going to be the overhyped team of the year. Their lines are going to be a little off, in my opinion. I do think they probably win. I just don't like the spread at -5. I think the Seahawks are going to cover, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to come down to a field goal. And I like the Seahawks to cover here.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is the game. The only reason I remember it is someone from Run Pure, one of the sites that I belong to. He won the million with a game stack of this game last year, though. The Lions and the Seahawks. It went totally nuke, where it was just points goal. I mean, there was like 80 or so points scored in this game, and I see it being similar. I did read up on some injuries along the lines for the Seahawks offensive lineman, which I think could be an issue with Aiden Hutchinson because the dude is a beast. Yeah. And I think he could get to Geno. But I think both of these teams have weapons. I think the Lions get Jahmyr Gibbs involved a little more than he was last week. Amon-Ra is the truth. The guy is just – death, taxes, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The guy is just money every week. I'm with you. I like the over. I don't have a real lean between the Lions and the Seahawks. It's a tough spot coming west to east, playing at 1:00. And so it is a tough spot. Lions on extra rest, obviously playing that Thursday night game. So had a little extra time to rest their bumps and bruises from week one. But it is a letdown spot. I mean, winning on the road at KC is a very high. And you know how this season goes. It's a roller coaster for every team, and no team is able to avoid that. But so no real lean. I won't be betting the game. If anything, I'll be betting the over. But do like some pieces from a fantasy perspective. Love Kenneth Walker. Love because I think they even gave him a price decrease. I think he's like
Yeah, he
5,800 for
went
Kenneth
down.
Walker. Yeah, so I love me some Kenneth Walker. And it wasn't his workload was encouraging. He played the majority of the snaps, and yeah, so I like the game as a whole. I'll have to figure out closer to lock when who my pieces are, but just off the rut there, it is. It is DK. It is Amon Ra. It's the usual suspects. These guys they don't spread it around too much, which I like. So you can usually pick where the ball's going.
Yeah, no. Next one will be an interesting one here. It actually has my fantasy play of the week. We have Los Angeles Chargers minus 150. We got the Titans at plus 125 on the money line. We got the
Hold on. Your fantasy play of the week is from
fantasy
this
play of the
game?
week. Yeah. Over under sitting at 45. Dude, I love King Henry this week. Hear
I
me
I was about to guess, but
Hear me
I
out.
uh
Everyone's going crazy about the Spears workload, yada yada yada. I think it's gonna. They lost. They didn't run Henry as much as they generally do. I think they're gonna go back to old reliable because Tannehill looks awful. Like he looks. You got to take the ball out of that man's hands. He looks absolutely terrible. His receivers look terrible. It's not that D Hop is bad. He looks disinterested. Like he made the wrong decision. Traylon Burks just is not going to live up to what he's supposed to be. I don't like Chig. I don't think Chig is better in his head than he truly is. I think it's the King Henry show, and that's the only way they're going to win games. Chargers notoriously bad against the run. They haven't been able to stop the run since like 2010. So you're at home, your first time in front of your crowd. I think that Henry's going to run all over these Chargers. And honestly, on the Chargers end, I might play their running back too, Joshua Kelly. I don't think Eckler's gonna play. I really don't. I don't. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I know he didn't practice again today, unless there was something I didn't see. I'm pretty sure I read he didn't practice for another time. So, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. I don't know. You do whatever you're gonna do. I like Allen better, but I always do. But I like Kelly. I like both running backs in this matchup, and I think it's gonna be a ton of running, unless you're seeing something different.
I'm gonna leave this one to you. I can't do this. I will never. I hate the Chargers run. I'll have to. Well, I'm gonna have to take a good look at the depth chart on Sunday morning to see who's active and who's not active for the Chargers because they're like the new age Patriots for me where they just run a ton of dudes out. Like they'll have like 9 running backs that you didn't know are active and they'll run them all out there. You think it's Kelly and then they'll start some bozo in his place. But no, in theory, it is against bot. I'm not saying it's not against bot.
He's
He's
5K.
5K. He's 5K. He's probably a good play. But I do think the Titans are going to try and slow games down. And I think when you're looking to capitalize on DFS plays, you're trying to target fast-paced games, and I just don't see it. And obviously, King Henry could nuke, but you're going to have to pay the price for him. And
He's
that's
like
where,
7,800 or something like that.
yeah,
It's cheaper for him than usual, but
yeah. And I'm not I mean, in full point PPR, I'm not a King Henry guy, and that's just personally, I just don't like the guy. So I should have left Miles Sanders alone last week, as you should have left Rashad White alone last week. But I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna try a different route and let you just play your guy and see if it yields a different result. I'm off this game completely. I am with you. I think there's a ton of running, but with a ton of running just means clock, clock, clock.
mm-hmm.
And if you're not scoring and capitalizing drives, I see a game similar to what played out with the Saints and Titans last week. I think Titans want to muddy it up. They want to, like in UFC, how people have to get scrappy to survive. That's what the Titans have to do. I think they're gonna, get Justin Herbert out in the elements to where I'm not saying bad weather, but these guys used to playing in LA in a dome, and think this presents a different challenge. I don't like the game at all. If I have any lean, I like the under, but no strong lean at all. And I guess I'll pick the Chargers just because they're a better team, but they're on the road, and so I'm off this game completely DFS wise, and no strong leads for bets.
Right, well, I mean, yeah, the Miles Sanders call was atrocious last week, but I did mention Aaron Jones strongly last week. So that's the next game here. Unfortunately, can't play him again as he's going to be out as well. We had the Packers as the dogs plus 100 now. Did this line flip?
The Packers are dogs.
Yeah, weren't they initially the favorites?
Oh, they could have been. There must have been some injury. I don't know. I didn't see.
Well, Aaron Jones isn't going to play, and I think that's what might have flipped it.
Christian Watson going to play?
No, he hasn't played either. He hasn't practiced either, so it probably did flip. So that's interesting. I had Falcons as a wrong play. Flip now. Now they're minus 120. Packers plus 100. Over under set at 40.5. I think that's appropriate. This game is just kind of gross. I don't really want any part of this. Do you have any strong leans in this one?
I mean, I think if you're gonna play, I think that if Aaron Jones did he practice today or no?
I don't think so.
I think if he's gonna sit, I think you naturally have to consider AJ Dillon, because he's gonna get a ton of work, and I'm probably gonna go back to my boy Jaden Reed, still at 3,400. I think Jordan Love looked good. And I know Romeo Dobbs caught the 2 touchdowns, but Romeo Dobbs is not going to catch 2 touchdowns every week. And especially if Christian Watson doesn't play, I think you can go right back to the Luke Musgrave play. I think you can go right back to Jaden Reed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, they're cheap. I mean, they didn't kill you last week. Neither of them guys. Like Jaden Reed, he had 5 targets, 48 yards. So he didn't kill you for 3K.
No,
that is not 7 points is not going to kill you for 3K. I mean, you are fine. You don't have a snowflake by your name. You're good. And Luke Musgrave, let's see what Luke Musgrave, and he was close to breaking a big one, actually. He had 3 for 50. So at 3K, 8 points is not going to kill you either. So, especially at tight end, especially when the field, me included, was on Isaiah Likely Chalk, who caught 1 ball for 4 yards. And I just followed it. I think the Packers are in play again as fantasy pieces, and I'm always going to have an interest in my boy Kyle Pitts until he retires, which I hope is soon, so I don't have to tout him anymore. Him and Cam Akers, I just can't quit, and I don't know why, but I'm on the Packers. I'm a UC fan, and I differ from a lot of UC fans in the way of thinking Des Ridder sucks. A lot of people love Des Ridder, but he doesn't turn the ball over. I will say that.
Yeah, throw the ball. How's he going to turn it over?
Yeah. Bijan Robinson looked electric week 1, and so did Tyler Algier. It looked like a little 2-headed monster there. So I like the Packers, though. I think they look good, and I don't think it's a fluke. So I'll take the Packers as a slight dog, but think it'll be a public play and wouldn't be shocked if it went the other way.
I was taking whoever the dog was in that matchup. So if the line flipped, I guess I'm on the Packers now, whoever the dog is, because it's close. Next game, we have the Chicago Bears at plus 115. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers at minus 135. Now, to be honest with you, over under at 40.5. My plays right now, week 1, we're looking great. I bet the Bucks, I bet the Rams, and I bet the Packers all to win their division. So right now we're sitting pretty. So I'm hoping the Bucks can pull this one through. In order for them to do that, they're going to have to win this game. My fear with the Bucks is that if they go on a losing streak, they are going to start tanking and they're going to sell everybody. Mike Evans, they are waiting to get rid of. The moment they lose a game, Mike Evans is getting traded. So I do need them to win a game like Chicago in order for this streak to continue. They're at home. I think they can. I think Chicago has probably the worst defense in the league. Like, it's bad. Like, it's very, very bad. So if there's any a game where my buddy Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or my boy Baker Mayfield, they're going to go off, it's going to be against Chicago. So I'm going to go ahead and eat the chalk with the Buccaneers and think they start off 2-0. And I like Godwin, Evans, Baker. Fuck it. I'll even start Rachaad White at this point. I think you start everyone against the Bears, unless Kate Otten. Start them all. Bear side, Nick and Justin Fields staying away. What are you thinking?
Didn't you list the Bears as a live dog?
I did. Listen, these lines are moving.
You just did a total sell job.
Yeah. As you talk it through, sometimes I'm like, you know what?
You're gonna have to edit that for the people. Yeah, I was thinking we're gonna go arm in arm with this one. I'm gonna go back to my Bears. I talked him up big last week. I'm not shying away. My man Justin Fields is gonna bounce back. He's gonna run a ton. He's gonna get desperate. Once he gets desperate and starts running like crazy is when I like him. I don't like him when he's sitting back there trying to pass. Just run, buddy.
They don't let him pass. He threw how many passes were forward, but like all of his passes were behind him. Like they did it in preseason and they thought it was a joke. He did it again.
Yeah. Well, in this time I won't even get to that. He'll just keep it in his right arm. He goes. I'm going to take the Bears, but I do love my boy again, Rachaad White in fantasy DFS. He stayed at 5,500. Probably should have seen a decrease, but I'll take him at 5,500. He plays a ton of snaps. I like his talent, and he may not know how to read a hole though, but but I like him. I like the over. As you said, I don't like either defense, and I think in the fourth quarter, even if you need some points in the hot Tampa sun, you could see some defenses wearing down there in the fourth quarter and see points late. So I'm going to go with the Bears. Your initial live dog, you'll have to edit that, and then I will go over too. So
I might switch it to this next matchup as I'm staring here. We got the Colts as underdogs at plus 100. Small dog. Houston Texans as favorites. That just doesn't feel right. Over under at 39, that does feel right. I understand that they played the Ravens tough last week, but I think that was more the Ravens just having a rough week one opposed to the Texans being any good. I hate this game. I'm going to save a whole bunch of time on this game. I don't want to start anyone on the Texans, not a single soul. And the Colts, I'm playing naked Anthony Richardson and leaving it alone. I don't know if it's going to be a Pierce deep bomb. I don't know if it's going to be a Pity week. I know I started Pity and I stacked Pity and Richardson last week, which was a nice cheap stack. Who knows which gigantic tight end they're going to use. Deion Jackson was the worst play in history last week and kind of saw it coming. I didn't have a lot of exposure to him. And now it's going to be Zach Moss. I don't think it's going to be any better. I've seen Zach Moss in Buffalo. I hate every piece but Richardson and naked Richardson. Colts because they're dogs. Calling it a day. Unless you have a strong.
I'll be calling Deion Jackson at least had like 6, and that was like the same as your boy Miles Sanders for 2K more.
He kept fumbling. Did he actually end up with 6?
He had 6 points, which was like the same as Miles Sanders. And he's 2K less. So I mean, take what you will, but he wasn't that bad. Yeah, he was bad. But this game should be on Saturday. This should be a college game. Like I said last week, though, I do think you can play Richardson every week. He's going to do the same. I said it last. He's going to get down the goal line. He's going to be like Cam, where he takes that little pistol shotgun snap and he runs it right, a little hesitation, and then he runs it straight up the gut and scores goal line touchdown. So he's going to be in play for fantasy every week, but good luck pairing him with someone because, like you said, they got a bajillion tight ends. They got Downs, Pierce, Pittman. They got them all. So if anyone, Anthony Richardson naked, I probably won't get there because I'll probably play my boy Justin Fields or Joe Burrow, and we'll use this as a catch me up game.
Yeah, Fields had a few called back last week too, so he's fine. He's gonna run. He's gonna run. Speaking of running, San Fran loves to run, baby. We got San Francisco 49ers minus 340. the undefeated LA Rams plus 270, over under at 45. We got in division. Now I'm looking at the spread of -7.5 for San Fran. They'll probably cover it. I'm determined to fade Brock Purdy. I don't think Brock Purdy is good. I know he looked like an absolute god last week, but all his receivers were wide the fuck open. Like I would have been a fantasy darling if I was out there. But outside of that, I mean, he doesn't do anything wrong. He just doesn't do anything good. He's just a product of the team. They'll probably win, and they'll probably cover. The Rams are going to start close, and then it's probably the wheels are going to fall off. Tutu Atwell and Puka can only take you so far. So
Puka nuked. Puka freaking
crazy.
nuked. He freaking nuked. I talked about Zay. Puka freaking went wild.
Is that sustainable, or was that a flash in the pan?
I have no idea. And that's why I'm not going to even comment on this game. I think 49ers win, but I don't even know how it goes. I'm going to continue to play my boy Cam Akers because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Higbee,
And
Higbee by
what's
default.
that?
Higbee by default.
I'll play Pitts instead. I'm gonna or Luke Musgrave. But
Ritter had 17 passes last week. How many did Pitts have? Like 4?
Yeah, I think he had 4 targets for 2 catches. Yeah, he had one called back, and I'm still. Yeah, I probably should play Pitts. God, I want to, but I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't have
real
in this game. What?
or was that a 1 week
situation? No, he's real. Their target share is very condensed. They got Samuel, Ayuk, McCaffrey, and Kittle. I mean, that's about it. So Ayuk is real. I mean,
would you start Ayuk, Judy, or Amari this week? Asking for a friend.
Probably average Amari, but no strong take.
Ugh.
On that. But yeah, catch me up game. Let's get off here soon. Let's wrap these up so we can get on and watch these Thursday night games.
Next one's not much better. Giants -200, Cardinals +170, over under at 40. Listen, Giants roll. You're going to start Saquon. I'm going to have a lot of Saquon exposure. I think it's going to be a big bounce back. Daniel Jones. I'm probably just starting Saquon on the Giants side, to be honest with you. Cardinals side, you start James Conner. He's all they got. And then that's about it. I don't want to touch any Cardinal, to be honest with you, but I think the Giants roll. The only one I'm excited to start in this entire matchup is Saquon, and I'll have a lot of them. Are you seeing anything different?
Yeah, I think Saquon crushes. I was trying to figure a way out that he didn't crush, and that's what I'm saying about like, why would you play Derrick Henry with Saquon just sitting right there at like the same price? That's good luck with the rest of your team because you're going to need Jamar Chase. Yeah, I just think I think the Giants roll. I think they're a lock. They're going to bounce back. They're not. They're embarrassed. And week 1, Arizona blew their load, and and they blew it in a loss. That's how bad they're going to be. So Giants roll. Catch me up game. I think Saquon's a nuke. That's nothing new, but yeah, that's my take.
All right, fuck the New York Jets at +340. Dallas Cowboys -440. That was the other long ball one I took, was the Cowboys to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. If those Cowboys of last week show up, Jesus. And honestly, they have a Micah Parsons. I have a son named Micah, so I'm a little partial to the Cowboys with their star being the same name. And they're doing me right so far. And I think that they're going to learn from the Bills' mistakes, although Dak is right behind Josh in turnovers. So they better mind their P's and Q's, but they're in Dallas, and I think they're not going to. They're ready. So I think it's going to be Dallas by absolute murder. And honestly, this is a great. Trayvon Diggs is a terrible corner. He's a pick 6, or he's going to give up a touchdown. That's all he does. He's going to be on Lazard probably. They'll probably put Gilmore on Wilson and put Diggs on Lazard, who's slow as shit. So I think Diggs is going to have like 3 pick 6s this game. You start the Cowboys D. You start Tony Pollard. Obviously, I guess you start CD, but I think they're just going to run it down their throat and play D. Cowboys by 1 billion. What you thinking?
Yeah, probably. I think it's a tough spot for, and obviously, Cat. I never have luck paying up for a defense that is supposed to crush and it's going to be chalk. But like I told you last week, I won 100% on the Commanders' defense.
Sit
That
on
seemed to bode well for me. They were too cheap, and this, I just the only fear I have with the Jets defense or the Cowboys defense is I don't know how much they let him air it out. They've proven that Brees Hall is a confirmed jitterbug,
He is.
and they can move it a little bit on the ground. So I do a little, and obviously they'll have to play catch up, but I do worry about their initial upside a little bit and forcing turnovers and generating sacks because I think that the Jets will go super, super conservative, which kind of limits their upside. So, and I do think the Jets have like a good enough defense to hold Dak a little bit. So I wouldn't even blame me if you played the other side. The only downfall to playing the Jets defense is I think the Cowboys will have the ball a ton and they'll have more chances to score. So I'm off this game completely. I'll debate playing the Cowboys defense. I don't know if I want to eat that chalk yet for the reasons I stated. So I'm gonna stay away from this game because I think it's properly lined, and I'll just get my picks in elsewhere.
Honestly, don't play the Cowboys D. I like the Cowboys D. I'm not going to play them because of the price. I'm going to play Denver. I love Denver's defense this week against the Commanders. I'm going to go ahead and flip it from Commanders last week. Their D to Denver this week. Denver minus 180. That they should never be minus 180. Commanders plus 150. Over under at 39. This game is disgusting. What the hell do we do with this game?
Yeah, I'm off of it too. I have no fantasy interest. I do. I'm going to flip right back. We failed with the Broncos once. We're going to go right back to them. They're going to do it
Just
for
run.
us this week. They're going to win the game. They're going to cover. The Broncos are probably my lock of the week for a pick outside the Bengals. And that's disgusting to say. So, but no interest except the defenses from a fantasy perspective. I like under. And yeah, that's a quick little catch me up on that game.
Yeah, not feeling anything. Dolphins, Patriots, Dolphins minus 155, New England plus 130, over under sitting at 46 and a half. I think the Patriots' offensive explosion the second half was a product of the Eagles not caring, not the Patriots being good. However, the Dolphins' defense looks bottom five right now. They are hurting without Ramsey. Their pass rush, I don't know what's wrong with Bradley Chubb, but he hasn't looked the same since he's been in Miami. I think there's a reason Denver traded him. Their defense looks terrible. So I do not believe in the Patriots' offense. But I think the Dolphins' defense is so bad. You do have Ramondre in play. I'm not starting any of their receivers. I'm not starting Mac. It's not good. Dolphin side, you know who you're starting. It's going to be Tua. It's going to be Waddle. It's going to be Hill. That's it. Don't fuck with their running backs. And I think Mostert is hurt now too. They're all over the place. Screw it. I'll take the Dolphins to win in a close game here. And both these teams are not that good, to be honest with you. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the Patriots at home just because I think it's a tough spot for the Dolphins going into Foxborough. I don't think they're that good. If there's any chance for the Patriots to shine, it's probably at home against a team that's coming off of a high like the Dolphins. So obviously, this is a standalone game, so I'll play a little showdown. Obviously, nothing on the main slate, but even if it was, I don't have a whole lot of interest. But I'll lean the Patriots and probably the over under is probably about right. So I'll stay away from that.
All right, we got the New Orleans Saints as minus 160 favorites. Carolina Panthers plus 140, over under sitting at 40. This is another gross one. I'm just going to take the under here. I hate all of these offenses. I don't even want to talk about this game. It's terrible. Tell me you have some sort of interest in this game because I have zero.
Now, and to not to um, kind of end it, but I don't really have anything. I think the primetime games on Monday night are both gross. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in the Saints and Panthers, and same thing for the Steelers and Browns. I really have no interest at all. Obviously, I'll play them a little bit because there's showdown slates, and I'll play those. But from bets wise, I'll probably stay away. If any, I'll sprinkle a little something, but nothing strong either on the last two games. And um, I think you'd be just fine just heading on to week 3 once those 4 o'clock games end.
I mean, to an extent, I like Chubb in the Browns game. Clearly, that's probably about it. You know who I also really like for Pittsburgh is Pat Freiermuth. Kenny Pickett loves Pat Freiermuth. And now with Deontay Johnson out, I think he's going to get hyper targeted. I'm going to have a lot of Freiermuth. Not in DFS, it's a Monday nighter, but if I do just play it standalone, I'll make him a captain. Like I do like Pat a lot. I like Chubb. Carolina and the Saints, I don't like either. I think they're both terrible. I actually bet Carolina to have the worst record in the NFL, and we're well on our way. So fuck that game. I'll say the under. And Cleveland, I do like Cleveland to win though. Steelers are hurt. Their defense didn't look up to par in previous years. I think the Browns are going to start off 2-0. They might honestly look at the schedule, start off kind of hot, and then they are going to suffer at the end of the year. But yeah, I don't like either one of these games. We're going to move on to week 3, and that's that. Otherwise, you got any other like major things with week 2 going on?
No, I think I'll just wrap it up with my favorite bet, my favorite play. I ended it there. My favorite bet of the week is going to be the Broncos. I am eating the square chalk on I'm doing a 3-team parlay, just money lines. I'm doing Giants, I'm doing Bills, and I'm doing tonight's Eagles. And if you're looking for a Sunday piece instead of the Eagles, I think you could go ahead and throw in the Cowboys there if you're trying to be safe, because I do think they win. And my favorite play of the week, said it early on, is going to be Jamar Chase. And I know that's not, going out on a ledge, but I think out of all the spend ups, there's a lot of spend ups, Saquon, Henry, as we mentioned. A lot of people out there, but I think you're going to need Jamar Chase this week.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I make a lineup with him. I'll make sure the Eagles win us a whole bunch of money to start the week off right. And we're moving on to week 3. Dust our teams off. Let's get back on track and then make that Super Bowl run, baby. Let's get it.